Sure, you could rock a big displacement V8, roasting tires in your Mustang and making the earth shake, but you're gonna run out of gas. Or you could settle for a V6, the ugly middle child of motors. Not quite loud and powerful, not quite cheap and efficient. But you, my friend, are into something a little bit different, a little more nimble, a little bit more intelligent, kind of like myself. You wanna build yourself a fast 4-cylinder. Well, good news, Ideal fam. Your boy Brad Danger's here to show you 10, that's right, 10 of the craziest, most desirable, and most buildable 4-bangers ever. Oh, and if you're new here, smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It'll mean a lot to me and the team. Otherwise, it is great to see you guys again. Let's go. First up comes the master of the mighty little 4-cylinder, Honda, who creates some of the most fun cars on the planet. And a large reason they're so fun, their engines punch way above their weight, or displacement. The S2000 is arguably the most legendary Honda out there, and it's definitely one of the few that's appreciating in value, all thanks to its well-balanced chassis and unorthodox engine. See, those Honda engineers are extremely smart. They took an already great engine from the mid-90s Prelude and just sprinkled in some of the technology used from the racing engines. Yeah, the exact motors that competed in IndyCar and Formula One. They've even claimed 6 Constructors' Championships in F1. And in order to squeeze the most out of the little 2-liter, the engine block was constructed out of aluminum with fiber-reinforced metal sleeves. So you know this thing can handle serious stress. Like, way more stress than you have right before finals week. I was super stressed out as a student. But add to the knowledge, because even though the engine only made 240 horsepower, that was all natural, baby. The engine will hit the high note all the way up to 9,000 RPM. And when the S2000 first came out, it received some pretty strong accolades. And for good reason too. The F20 had the highest specific power output for any naturally aspirated piston engine, with an impressive 120 horsepower per liter at the time. And it held the record from 2000 all the way to 2010 when the Ferrari 458, which is one of my ultimate ideal cars, took over the record. But back to the S2000, because that little motor that could has proven to not only be reliable, but also take on a ton of power. On a stock block, people have easily gotten 300 real horsepower naturally aspirated. And with the little steroids, I mean turbos, 800 horsepower is totally attainable. And if you have unlimited budget, 1,500 horsepower and beyond is totally there. Now that is a lot of VTEC, baby. The F-Series powered S2000 will always go down as one of the best rear-wheel drive sports cars ever. Now, what's a better testament to an engine's performance than a super punishing world rally circuit? Well, nothing. And before we get to this next super-de-duper 4-banger, I gotta let you guys know I'm really digging this mohawk and mustache. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Because just like my haircut that YouTube girlfriend did and my stellar facial hair, this engine was so well designed that it's powered cars from 1980 all the way up until this very day. Yeah, Mitsubishi has done this with their legendary 4G63T. It's powered Eclipses, Evos, and Eagles. The 4G63T soon became a hotbed for all tuners when they got their hands on them. And with a high-flowing aluminum head and a stout iron block, the 4G63T was ready for anything that you were willing to throw at it. I'm not kidding, this engine was so popular that they went into their cars for 20 years. And with that long of a production run, you bet that tuners have perfected their craft on these motors time and time again. And it's not that crazy to hear that these things are pushing over 1,000 horsepower out of a Mitsubishi 4-cylinder. Who would have thought? And not only that, engines have held over 100 pounds of boost. And considering that this engine has powered a bunch of Mitsubishi championship-winning rally cars, it just proves it wasn't just a pavement pounder. And yet, with decades of use, it's so sad that the production was ended on this legendary engine. It's not fair. I'm gonna need a moment. And once that engine ended, pretty much the Evo ended just after. But if you're not an Evo guy, I bet you're more of a Subaru guy. And if that's the case, you know a lot about the next engine on this list. Oh, and head gaskets. The EJ25 started production nearly a decade after Mitsubishi's 4G63T, but it's been in production ever since, and it's been the heart of STIs for generations. The EJ25 has even won 3 manufacturers' championships for the Subaru World Rally Team. While you hear that people criticize the EJ25 for its dinosaur-age technology and thirsty fuel consumption, but I think I'm speaking for everybody, especially the people in the back, that we just can't not love the Boxer Rumble. And that beautiful symphony, ladies and gentlemen, is made possible by those glorious unequal length headers. The EJ25 is strong, letting tuners push these upwards of 600 horsepower. And because of how light and powerful the Subarus they're powering are, they're able to go like a bat out of hell. Whether it's an imported 94 WRX or a brand new STI, they're all powered by the same beast. And these motors are like Legos, cheap cars and cheap aftermarket parts. That's a recipe that's made these extremely hard to find unmodified. And I can't blame you if you're one of the owners, because it's so tempting to turn up the power just a wee bit, and then it's all downhill from there. Being able to own a sports car with rally history sounds pretty cool to me. The EJ25 is the engine of choice sliding through the dirt in the World Rallycross. As for sliding across the pavement at your local drift event, you're probably gonna see a lot of Nissans powered by our next engine. Any guesses? The SR20 DET. The SR20 DET is the de facto choice of drifters everywhere. They're so good, in fact, that Adam LZ runs one of these bad boys in his Cream 240 SX. The proven reliability banging off the rev limiter makes it a great choice for entry-level drifters. Bing, 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 bing. Must have lost some brain cells with this mohawk. Anyways, now, here in the US, Nissan sold the 240SX, which was an affordable, lightweight, rear-drive sports car from Japan. Unfortunately, unlike Japan, our 240s were powered by a lackluster pickup truck motor, the KA24DE. Luckily, the American 240SX is the same as the JDM Silvia and 180SX. So everything, including the SR20 DET turbo motor, could be swapped into a USDM 240 with relative ease. And tuners all across the world were able to get their hands on these motors and tune them to their heart's content. The SR20 DET was factory turbocharged, and with just a couple of bolt-ons, you could double the factory power before even building the block. Now, there are 2 different generations of SR engines, commonly identified by their valve cover color. The red top came in the S13s, up until 1994, and then they changed to the black top, used in the S14s and S15s in Japan, post-94. Yes, they're not the most reliable engines on this list, but with a little bit of patience and a little bit of cash, yes, you could have an SR20 knocking on 1,000 horsepower's door. Enough power to go head-to-head with any Formula D competitor. Thanks to the SR20, the 240SX became a JDM classic. And thanks to this next engine, Honda's Type R cars became a tuner car hero. Yeah, that's right. These engines powered the mighty Honda Integra Type R and Civic Type R, known for their reliability and their "look at me" exhaust notes. Now, stock, they weren't known for making crazy horsepower, but if you put some money into some parts, you could have a stupid fast car. And if you stuffed them back into the Hondas they came in, you'd be setting some crazy low quarter-mile times. But that's not why these cars were known. They won the game in the handling department. Because of how light these Hondas were, it didn't take much power to make these things go like stink. These engines have been screaming since 1988, and they are still a tuner's wet dream. Well, at least among us old folk. Because the 4-cylinder for the Zoomer generation, well, that's coming from Ford with their 2.3-liter EcoBoost, powering front, rear, all-wheel, and four-wheel drive vehicles, pairing it with manual and automatic transmissions, Ford has gone all out with this engine. Powering their ultra-fun, ultra-fast hatchback, the Focus RS, which my boy Jack Ultramotive has, and he loves, although I don't know if it's his favorite car. Stock, putting down an impressive 350 horsepower and an identical torque figure, the EcoBoost engine turns a grocery getter into a tire shredder. But that's not all. Oh no. The guys over at Mountain got one of these up to 684 horsepower. Yeah, that's more power than a McLaren F1 or a Viper ACR. But if that sounds too good to be true, well, it just might be. Because the Focus RS is notoriously known for failing head gaskets. With Ford being relatively new to the game, I only imagine bigger and better things from them. It's nice to see a once old and boring brand like Ford making bold moves with powering Mustangs with their EcoBoost. One brand that might want to take a tip from them is Toyota. And no, the next engine on this list doesn't come from the Supra or anything really that exciting. But it's on this list because of one man. Yes, one man only that pushed this engine to 1,000 horsepower. The Toyota 2AR FE is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder developed by Toyota for use in their economy cars, powering such vehicles as this low-key Camry and the actually somewhat fun-to-drive Scion TC. Yes, none of these cars were ever praised for their performance, and in their most powerful factory specs, the engines coughed out a massive 180 horsepower. So you're probably like, how did some random guy make over 5 times that power? Well, it's not just some random guy. Steph Papadakis, so decorated that we could do an entire video on this guy. So why in the world would you make a Camry engine have 1,000 horsepower? Well, to go drifting, of course. Duh. Four-figure horsepower is sort of the norm now. Stefan Papadakis is the owner of Papadakis Racing, the most winningest team in Formula Drift history. And to keep winning, he built the 2AR FE up to 1,000 horsepower and stuffed it into a small Corolla hatchback. Because race car, not only is it crazy and badass, this engine is the only four-cylinder engine to be competing in Formula Drift today. From one motorsport to another, drifting to drag racing, one engine has made the fastest quarter-mile pass of all 4 cylinders. And that's the Chevy 2.2-liter Ecotec. America, known for their large, loud, fuel-drinking V8s, but as for the last few years, they know a thing or two about fast 4-cylinders. Take the 2.2-liter Ecotec, which is best known for powering the Cobalt SS Supercharged. A fun car nonetheless, and you could throw some serious cash into it and be able to outrun supercars. Yeah, some have seen upwards of 1,200 horsepower. That's a hell of a lot more than, say, a Dodge Demon. And with half the cylinders, the 4-cylinder quarter-mile record was done in under 6 seconds and hit 230 miles per hour in that short a distance. Regardless, if there was a longer runway, I bet this thing would have touched or have crossed 300 miles per hour. The Cobalt SS that this four-banger monster powered was made as a rival of the unexpectedly fast Dodge Neon SRT-4. And the Dodge Neon SRT-4 was powered by the 2.4-liter A853. Here's a little bit of a history lesson. In 1998, the higher-ups at Chrysler went to the SEMA show. You know, the world's largest car show? And they noticed a bunch of sport compacts with performance modifications. This got their gears turning, as they soon went into action to put these ideas into their sport compact, the Dodge Neon. They saw this opportunity to build a sporty car to appeal to the younger auto generation who grew up on tuner cars. And to build that fan base, they needed an engine. 4 cylinders and the strength to handle some real power. Stock, the A853 that powered the Neon SRT-4 was rated at 230 horsepower and 250 foot-pounds of torque. And this is seriously an impressive feat when you realize that they just used a beefed up motor from this car, the standard PT Cruiser, which if you haven't seen it, it made it on our list of the worst cars that you should absolutely never buy. You should definitely go check out that Ideal vid. And even though the production ended in 2005, the Neon SRT-4 continued to be relevant in racing for years to come, with many SRT-4s known for crazy half-mile stints. And some are just used for casual autocross, while a few stayed preserved waiting for their values to skyrocket. Whatever it is, the A853 is known to be easily upgradable to handle more power, and also known to do some crazy front-wheel drive burnouts. Dodge took a chance with this engine in this car, and I think they built a winner, while Honda has had the same formula for years. Reliable, fun, and fuel efficient. And that's the exact formula that Honda engineers used on the K20. The K20 powered the almost forgotten Acura RSX. The RSX was a great car, the sequel to the legendary Acura Integra. And as with pretty much every famous Honda, the main reason we fell in love was because of the engine. Not only was the K20 great stock, it made tuners tremble too. The RSX K20s are so easy to modify. Stock, they made around 200 horsepower, but with a little bit of work, you could be making 400 horsepower naturally aspirated. And once you add a little turb ski, game over. 1,000 horsepower is within reach, and still, it's reliable, it's fun, it's fast. What's not to love about a good old Honda? In my opinion, if you want to rival V8s and turbo inline 6s, but you want the economy and reliability of a 4-cylinder, you just gotta get one of these engines on this list, this ideal list. But if I had to choose my ideal 4-cylinder engine, that would be easy. The F20C out of the Honda S2000 would be my golden ticket. And believe me, I wouldn't say no to the S2000 that came with it either. There's just something magical about VTEC paired with 9,000 RPM redline. And if you can get some parts overnighted from Japan, you're pretty much in heaven. Now, which one did you think is the best? Or did I miss any? Let us know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, or just my haircut and facial hair, my name's Brad Danger. Hit that subscribe button and also hit that like button because that helps us a lot and lets us know which videos we should continue to make for you guys. And if we hit 19,787 likes, I'll shave just 1/2 of my mustache. And if you dislike this video, don't just hit that dislike button once, hit it twice. Really mean it. Oh, and as always, just don't forget to keep living that ideal lifestyle.